All right, we're excited. We're back again for another Free Agent Fridays. Today, I have Todd Worley with me, who's got a great football background, and excited to kind of get to know Todd. Welcome to the show, Todd.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, kind of spend a few minutes and just give us your background.
Absolutely. So I attended the College of Wooster in Ohio, played football there, and then actually played for a year in Germany also. And after graduating from Wooster, I got my law degree from Case Western Reserve University up in Cleveland, and then passed the Ohio bar exam. And then I've been working in sports ever since then. So I've been working in scouting, football operations, football administrations for two teams in the Arena Football League, the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the CFL, the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, and then most recently, the Seattle Dragons of the XFL. And as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, we all got laid off back in April due to COVID-19. And then I've also gained 3 years of experience in the media as a publisher and recruiting analyst for 24/7 Sports. And I coached for a season at Fort Scott Community College out in Kansas when we made it to the national championship game. So
Nice.
fortunately, I've had some really impressive breaks in terms of being able to be a part of some really good teams, learn from some really good people, and just build my skill set around the way. I've in the AFL as part of one AFL champion and then one team that made it to the Arena Bowl. In the CFL, we took over the last place team in the league, and then quickly, our second year, we were in the conference championship game. And then obviously
Nice.
at Fort Scott, like I said, made it to the national championship game. And then also have an annual free football camp that I run for underprivileged youth, where we teach fundamentals of the game. But then the real focus is we bring speakers in and they stress issues such as character and pursuing your dreams. And that's been a real passion of mine to do that. And that's something I'm really proud of in the last several years.
Do you do that in your hometown, or what area do you do that in?
It's in Wooster, Ohio, which is
Okay.
the town I went to college in.
I know where I used to live in Canton, Ohio. So
Did you really? Okay, right
yeah,
down the
Wooster
road.
was
Yeah.
not too far, a little west. On my way to Ohio State games, I would pass it. So
Exactly.
So what kind of, you have, obviously coaching, you got player personnel, analytics, scouting. Like, what is your, dream job, and then what are you looking for next?
So my dream job has always been to be an NFL GM. But the longer I've been in the industry, the more people I've met, the more roles I've had. All it comes down to is being with the right people in the right place for me. So I'm still obviously very much open to the GM path, but the focus has shifted a bit to just being in a fulfilling place. And I know there's so many other roles where I can be happy in. And what I'm looking for right now, to kind of build off of that, I don't necessarily have a specific job title I'm looking at, because I've got experience in so many different areas and love the industry. So whether it's in scouting, operations, contracts, the salary cap, administration, media relations, community relations, those are all fits. And then I haven't done sales per se, but I think when you're in management and scouting, a lot of that comes down to learning a new brand and becoming an expert at that brand, and then selling that brand to other people and getting them on board. And so I feel like I do have the transferable skills to succeed in sales as well, if the opportunity presents itself.
Oh, definitely. I mean, trying to recruit or sign free agents.
Right.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, I've done it. It transfers great.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
What kind of, stuff did you do with Seattle? I know you did some scouting and analytics. Like what exactly was your role there, and what kind of projects were you working on?
Man, a lot of different things. So we had a two-man personnel department. It was myself and my boss, Tony Softly. And he's one of my favorite people in this industry. He's awesome, and learned so much from him. And so we had a very short amount of time to put together an entire draft. We had thousands of players to evaluate, conduct background research on, run analytics on them. So the two of us were kind of handling that. And so it was nonstop. It was a lot of fun. And then in a startup league with a small staff, you're also doing a lot on the operations end. I actually filmed at practices, so I helped out with the video, helped out with equipment every now and then, would handle contracts, would just about anything you could think of. We were all getting our hands in just about every department.
When you kind of going back to college and everything, I mean, did you go to get your law degree for the purpose of trying to become the GM, or were you actually looking to become an attorney?
Oh
or
man,
both?
a long story. I honestly wanted to become an agent. That was
Okay.
what I wanted to do. And then halfway through law school, started to learn more about that path. And then was also starting to learn about the sports management path for the first time. And the more I learned about management and the more I learned about becoming an agent, the scale started to tip the other way. So kind of did a shift midway through, but at that point I'm already done with the toughest part of law school. It makes sense to finish, pass the bar exam, get that stuff out of the way, and then have that down the road if need be. But really, so since like midway through law school, I have kind of known what I wanted to do, and I've been following that path since then.
I mean, it definitely doesn't hurt to have. So, I mean, definitely good. What kind of, skills are you going to bring to your next position? Like, what have you learned over the years that will help you stand out?
I think first thing, I think extreme versatility. There really isn't that much that I haven't done in this industry, and I've done them at different levels. And so I think you can speak for this too. Like the levels that you've worked at, the levels I've worked at, like people are wearing multiple hats, and not everything just easily falls into place all the time. And so you really have to grind at it. And that's been key in my development, I think. Also a critical thinker, a problem solver, a team player. I feel like I'm great at, I excel at building relationships with people of all ages, race, gender, status, whatever it is. I'm a leader. One of my former bosses, one area I've really improved a lot in the last 3 or 4 years. I was always decent at it, but one of my former bosses really helped enhance my ability to think outside the box and help take an organization to another level. And so grateful for learning that and developing that skill. And I think that's key moving forward. And then I would just say a lot of my former bosses will describe me as a tireless worker. And I know one of my mentors in the NFL, he always tells me that I'm the most persistent person he's ever met. So I'll hang in there and I'll keep battling no matter what. So
you got to have it, and especially too, just in the job search, you got to be persistent and find ways to be top of mind for people
somehow.
Because, I mean, there's a ton out there of just great people. That's the problem. Just so many good people that are out of work, and it's not due to performance. It's outside control and makes it tough. But what would you say is your biggest, weakness or area that you need to, improve on?
It's kind of funny. So there are certain things I look back, like back in school, I think most people have subjects that you excel in, subjects that you might struggle in. And for whatever reason, you might have a block in a certain subject where it just never clicks with you. And I would say in the sports industry, I'd say video and IT, those are probably 2 areas that, just hadn't clicked with me. And so they might have, in a way, intimidated me in the past just because I felt so unknowledgeable about them. And because of that, because I kind of knew what I didn't know, so I would kind of steer clear of them if possible. And then in Seattle, I never expected or planned on this, but we had such a small staff. So we were all helping out other departments at times. And so I actually got to do video at practice. And it's not hard at all, but like it was actually somewhat nerve-wracking going into it because I'd never done that. I don't want to mess it up. And if you're the guy that messes up the film, then everybody hates you. You
got the camera pointed over off the field. It's just got the wrong clip,
Right. So it really helped me get over that intimidation aspect of it. It's almost like if you had someone that played receiver their whole life, but they never played defense, they probably have the athletic skill set to at least make a run at it on defense. And so so they can do it. They just don't know they can do it. So once as long as they're humble and they'll work and they're coachable, they'll pick it up. And, it's just, there's a natural learning curve, but you pick it up. And so I think that's something that I developed. I'm still nowhere close to an expert at that, by obviously, but
I mean, it's a constant thing that you're going to, continue to learn. It's going to be a continued process. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
What kind of technology did you guys use in Seattle? Any specific softwares or programs?
We use Exos for our film.
Okay. When you were with the CFL, did you have to go up to Canada a lot, or was it all just regional stuff in the U.S. here that you were focused on?
Yeah, I was based in Ohio and covering American colleges and then NFL training camps in my area. And so I would go up to Canada maybe several days a year, and that was it. And then, so obviously the bulk of the players that you're evaluating are all in the States. And so there isn't much of a need to be up there. And then most of our staff was American, so we could get together in the off season, whether at the Senior Bowl or different team combines that we ran, tryout camps. And so there's still enough FaceTime and enough interaction. So it wasn't quite as necessary to get up to Regina.
Tell me a little bit about like Jacksonville, because obviously I've been involved in arena and indoor football, and the Jacksonville Sharks they were in the Arena Football League back then. But what kind of stuff were you working on there with the club?
Personnel and football administration. So running, processing all the paperwork. So the payroll, the contracts, the waiver workouts, then running the scouting department. One thing that's neat about the AFL is they allow you to bring in waiver workouts every week, and you can bring in as many as you want. The only limit is how much equipment your team has. Right. So there were weeks where we had to turn guys away because we didn't have enough shoulder pads for everybody or whatever it was. And then, but just getting guys in, and to do that, you're building relationships with agents, with the players, explaining what they can expect. And one thing I kind of prided myself on is being honest and explaining that, look, we've got guys that have come in here and they've gotten signed. The vast majority do not get signed. So I don't want to tell you will, but there is an opportunity. If you come in and you show that you're too good for us, if you're too good for us to let you leave, or we'll do something. And we had one of the guys we brought in that year was Greg Reed. He came in, I think, week 5 or 6 and ended up becoming first team All Arena and Rookie of the Year. And he was a key component to us going on a big winning streak down the stretch and making it to the Arena Bowl.
Yeah, I know Jacksonville's always had really good success on the field, and even in the crowd. They always had good support there, and
the fans are awesome.
Still do. Yeah, they still do. Nice, yeah. It's a great city.
It really is a neat city.
So have you thought about getting into the coaching side? I know with scouting, you're probably running some workouts and some other things. So, you've played, you've coached some. So has that ever been a thought for you, or?
So I coached for a season at the JUCO level, and that was more, I like coaching. I love the management side though. So I'm not opposed to coaching by any means. It's just not quite my top passion. But I kind of did that to build my resume, and I think it's helped me as an evaluator too. And since then, the teams I've worked with in Jacksonville and then in Seattle, I've done some quality controls here and there, but not necessarily pursuing the coaching path. But if I got into a situation where they needed some help somewhere, in addition to my,
you could definitely jump in. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So it's kind of like that. Yeah.
No, that's good to be versatile like that. When you played, what position were you?
I was a defensive end in college, and then high school played on offense, tight end and fullback, and then on defense, just about everything in the front 7.
Nice. Getting dirty in there. Getting dirty.
Yeah, that's where the game's won and lost.
How would you define success?
I would say doing the job better than it's ever been done before, and kind of that whole leave the jersey in a better place concept, to take the team or the company or the organization that I'm working with help them get to heights they've never been to.
What do you think you bring to the table that will kind of stand out from the pack?
I think, as I mentioned before, my versatility, I don't think there are that many people that have gotten their hands on as many different departments at several different levels like I have. And so I feel like I can definitely save a roster spot or two wherever I go. Then being able to think outside the box in order to solve in sports, there are constantly new challenges coming up, new problems that need to be solved. And if you do it the way it's always been done, I think you limit the ceiling of yourself and your team as a whole. And so really try to pride myself on thinking outside the box to, let's create something that's never been done before. That's been my focus.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then how about like something, more just fun, personal, like, tell us about you.
I love to travel. In college, spent a semester abroad in Spain. And then, as I mentioned before, I played football in Germany for a season. So traveled extensively. Haven't gotten to as much as I would like to lately, but love doing that and just seeing the world and meeting people and exposing myself to new cultures.
What's your favorite spot?
Man, that's a really tough question. Parts of Italy, maybe. Switzerland is a must-see. Man, there are so many.
I've only been to Canada outside the U.S., so I got to check it out. I like to travel. I just like to travel in the U.S.
Well, and that's the neat thing about having such a big country is that you could just travel solely in the U.S. and see so many neat things. So
yeah, no, it's definitely cool.
Yeah.
Well, anything that we can do to help, we definitely will. I mean, I think you got such a great background, and especially having that law degree in there, and just working your way from the JUCO to arena to CFL, XFL. I mean, definitely can see you getting in there in the NFL or another league that pops up pretty soon. So appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you. And just to put a plug in for some of my former coworkers, you mentioned the XFL. Like, we had just our team alone. I knew a few people here and there with other teams, but we had so many talented people. It was unbelievable. And it's a shame, like you said, it's a shame what happened, but that was an outstanding product. And I think there's so many really talented, passionate, hardworking people who are kind of on the sidelines right now. And what you're doing is great to give us some exposure, and hopefully it helps us all.
Yeah, no, and I think everyone who was involved should be proud of, what was accomplished, because nobody, everybody was like, oh, here we go again. And
right.
It's like, I like it because it's kind of my attitude. It's like, you shut them up, you prove them wrong.
Right.
And you guys did. So again, excited, and let's definitely keep in touch.
For sure. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.